The hard conversation can be easy, and it should be easy, because you should feel comfortable being confident with who you are, with what you're feeling, and with expressing what you feel. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then your first step is to work on yourself. Welcome to Get Real with Deb, the Monday morning podcast for awakening souls who are ready to break free from ego-driven cycles and to live from your truth and your inner power. I'm Deb Heenahan. Each week we uncover truths, we find inspiration through real stories and raw conversations, and we invite your physical being to meet your authentic self. This is where you allow your soul to finally lead. It's exciting, raw, and real. This, my friends, is where the magic happens. So let's get real together. Welcome to today's topic. It's all about having the hard conversation. So I'm curious, how many of you out there have the hard conversation? And I say the hard conversation, which there are many, because it's not easy to have a hard conversation. It could be a conversation that you want to have with your partner, with your child, with your boss, with your sibling, with a friend. It's a hard conversation, typically, because something is bothering you about that situation, that experience, that relationship. Let me tell you, when you don't have the hard conversation, and this doesn't take me to share this with you because you feel it, but maybe perhaps it's us being in it together, just understanding things. But when you don't have the hard conversation that you know you want to have, what do you receive instead? Really take a minute, pause, and think about what happens to you when you avoid that hard conversation because you're afraid of the consequences of it. And I totally get it. It is the most difficult thing to have a conversation with someone about feelings that you're having that you don't feel good. Oh, hey, honey, I'm really upset with you today because you keep on dismissing me and I don't feel loved. That's not something that you just say over breakfast. It can be, but you want to be part of it and bring out your emotions. Doing that is not easy to do. But when you don't do it, you're storing it, collecting what I call stamps. You have a book of stamps. And every time you want to say something that bothers you and you don't say it, you're collecting a stamp. And every time that something else happens that frustrates you or drives you crazy and you don't share your emotions, because you can do it in a very loving, graceful way, but when you don't do it, you collect a stamp. Now, what happens whenever you are collecting all of these stamps? Guess what? The stamp book gets full. You turn the page, you fill that page up. You fill up the book of stamps, and when it becomes full, an explosion occurs. Maybe it's World War III, maybe it is just a small little battle, but it's an explosion of things that have been collected or brushed under the carpet. And now all of a sudden, you and the other person have no idea what just happened, but shit is flying everywhere. This is what happens when you don't have the hard conversation. Today, I would like to say that we're going to change the phrase hard conversation to an easy communication. Because here's why. When you can come from your heart, when you express yourself to someone, having that heart to heart with them, only goodness can come. And yes, the goodness that comes could be very well that that person doesn't respond favorably. But if that person doesn't respond favorably, or if they're not willing to listen, if they're not willing to engage with you, to understand what's going on with you, and then perhaps share their own hard conversation or their feelings, if they're not willing to share, if they're not willing to connect, then I think you have your answer. Don't you agree? Because we can, and I have for many years in different relationships. I've brought up different things. I've tried to approach things differently. I'm a very positive, loving, compassionate, understanding person, but sometimes that doesn't help me because I overlook my own needs. So I have had to have the conversation to say, hey, I feel dismissed. I don't feel important. Can we work together on this? It is all about presentation, but it is also about respect for yourself and also for the other person. But everybody's personalities are different. Only you know who you're dealing with. And even if you don't, when you can come from your heart and have that heart-to-heart conversation, again, goodness comes. And again, if it doesn't, then you have your answer. So over the years, I've had, hard conversations that I've had to have with friends, with family members, with my kids, with my partners at the time. And it's tough. And sometimes what I would suggest, for me, I've had to journal. I've had to write things out. For me, I talk with God. That's who my higher power is. Talk things through, voice it out on your own, voice it out with a friend. Hear yourself, what's going on? Because sometimes the emotions that you're holding on to may just need to be released and then you're good. But hear yourself out. Understand where you're coming from and do your best to ensure that you are not only just looking at the situation, the experience, or whatever is happening from your point of view only. I think one of the hardest things we all are faced with in life is coming into a situation and looking at it from all angles, looking at it from, yes, certainly your own perspective, but trying to understand what it's like in the other person's shoes. 99.9% of the population does not do this. I mean, maybe you're in the 0.1%. I know that I'm not all the time. I strive to be there. I do better today than I did years ago, but it's a work in progress. I mean, we can't help as humans to be protective of ourselves and defensive, and you hurt me, so I am going to put my foot down and that is it. We're going at it. But pause. Where does that get you? Where does it get you when you lose your emotions, when you lose your patience, when you get to a place of not feeling good? It doesn't get you anywhere, but in a worse place. And if I loop back around and think about the two topics here, do you have the hard conversation? Why or why not? And how do you feel when you are collecting stamps? They really go hand in hand, because if you don't have the easy communication that you want to, then you're collecting a stamp of whatever frustration or whatever emotion that carries. Don't collect stamps. It's heavy weight. It's something you're carrying, and I promise you, you are only hurting yourself. I know this. 4 decades of me having done that to myself in many situations, with close friends, with my family members. I mean, there are things that happen in life and you just want to lose your mind. It's like, whoa, why are you doing this? But you have to release those emotions somehow. And honestly, in the last relationship, I have found myself in the position of having a hard conversation and not having the other person be very receptive. In fact, when bringing up a hard conversation and it triggers something in them, maybe it's something where they feel they're going to be attacked or blamed for something because that's what their history has shown, they respond defensively. They respond as turning it right back around on me. And I have many years of that, and I can get very frustrated with myself to know that I allowed myself to be put in that position, but I play a role, I play a part, and all that I can do is continue to speak up for myself and have that conversation to say, here is how I'm feeling right now, and I'd love to work with you on this, but I will tell you, some were not willing to work with me on it, and so therefore I'm not with them anymore. And yeah, guess what? This could be for you family members. It could be siblings. It could be friends. You have to determine what you're willing to accept, what you're willing to put up with, what you're willing to balance. Because if you feel out of balance and you feel more frustrated than not, then you have to consider going down another path. There is another way, and you don't have to stay. That one's a tough one, I know. But you don't have to stay if you are not fulfilled. You don't have to stay if you're not able to have that conversation with someone in a calm, loving manner. You don't have to stay when the other person is not interested in working with you. Why are you trying so hard to make something fit that doesn't fit? I've had to ask myself that question several times throughout my lifetime, and several times throughout all of my relationships. And it came down to saying to myself, I can't carry the load for myself and the other person. I don't want to. I have no desire to. I want to be in a situation, in a relationship, in a friendship, in whatever kind of relationship or connection that it is. I want it to be two-way street. And I will work with those who want to work with me to make sure that we can connect and communicate. That's what this is all about. The hard conversation can be easy, and it should be easy, because you should feel comfortable being confident with who you are, with what you're feeling, and with expressing what you feel. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then your first step is to work on yourself. Ask yourself why you don't feel comfortable. Is it fear? Are you afraid that that person may leave you? If they leave you, then that might be what's meant to be. And if that happens, there could be something, and likely would be something really greater around the corner. You just have to have faith, but you have to follow your heart. Because if you don't do this for you, who will? So make sure that you take time to understand yourself, to get in tune with yourself, to ask yourself, what are the consequences of me not having the conversation, or me backing off and holding back because that person doesn't want to work with me? What are the consequences of me collecting stamps and filling up that stamp book and having it blow up in everybody's face? What are the consequences of all of that? Only you can determine that. You might be okay with the answers, but make sure you go through the exercise so that you know. Because otherwise, if you don't do this for yourself, you're just circling and spinning in that same vicious cycle, and you're putting more energy into the energy that you don't want. You're giving it more power. You're allowing yourself to be dismissed. You're putting yourself in the back seat. Step up, drive in your life. Be the driver. It's been hard for me to be the driver in my life. I'm very outspoken. I'm very strong. I'm very confident. But in some areas of my life, I'm not. I take the back seat, especially in relationships, and that hasn't helped me. So now I am the driver. I know what balance I need. I know what I want. I know how to have hard conversations, and they're easy and they're beautiful. But it might mean that the other person is leaving, or that I'm leaving and saying, I've had enough. This is what it's about. This is called life. So you have to be able to understand yourself. You have to be able to be confident in your shoes, in who you are, so that you're able to step up when you need to. You're able to respect yourself when you need to. And you're able to connect, communicate when you need to. Do this from a loving and graceful perspective. And again, only goodness can come. If that other person doesn't want to engage, doesn't want to work with you on it, if they're not open and willing, that is your answer, like I said before. So choose you, like I am choosing me. It feels great. I'm in my power after understanding what I'm willing to accept and not accept in my relationships, but it's a work in progress. So I say to you, do what you can to choose you, to have the conversations that you need to for you, so that your heart is light, so that you feel light, that you feel good in life, and that you can proceed and get yourself to a better place. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today on Get Real with Deb. If today's episode inspired you, hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and leave a comment for us at Get Real Live Your Story on all socials. Now, are you ready to jumpstart your journey to living from your truth and your authenticity? If you are, grab my free program and get started right away. And right now, for the upcoming holiday season, when you register for the free program, you'll also unlock a special discount for my masterclass, which is starting in January. You can find all details at getrealliveyourstory.com. I truly appreciate your presence and your energy, and I'd love for you to join me every Monday as we dive deeper into uncovering your true self and stepping fully into your power. And until then, I'm sending you lots of love and light.